Hi there and welcome. I'm Dr. Sujay, and you have joined us on Live with Sujay, Headliners of Hope. Thank you for staying with us. And if you stay tuned, we have a delightful interview. Today we have Andrea Grover, Executive Director of Guildhall. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sujay.
Thank you for being with us. I have been to Guildhall all summer, but this wasn't my first
love
summer,
it.
but this summer, at least 5 times. Just tell us what you do as Executive Director.
I oversee Guildhall's entire institution, so a lot of the program and the kind of identity of Guildhall falls under me. So in nonprofit parlance, the executive director is like the CEO.
Okay, wonderful. And you've had all kind of acts, but first of all, you've had a renovated whole auditorium. Is that what you call the auditorium?
Yeah, the theater, we
Theater.
actually have renovated the entire building.
Oh, look at this,
Every
beautiful.
aspect of it has been considered, and so we renovated the museum, the theater, the education space, the offices, the grounds. We tried to not change the building's character or scale or even add a square inch,
Right.
but really update it so that it's more welcoming and functional for the public and for artists.
Well, it's functional because now I can sit behind a tall person and still see
That's
because
right.
every seat is staggered,
That's right.
which is awesome. So
Really
thank
good
you.
sight lines, yes. So there's a rake now in the theater that's more steep, and also the seats are staggered, so you can read subtitles on a foreign film or see the footwork of dancers.
Yes.
There's all new acoustics, new lighting, new video. And then the museum also has great improvements, higher wall space, bigger doorways, and better lighting.
So is it a year-round facility?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah.
now we have a big summer crowd. I was there 5 times just this summer. Let's see some of the artists that you've had, some of the guests you've had there this year. Tell us who we're looking at here.
So this is Stirring the Pot. It's an ongoing series in year 14 now, and it's hosted by Florence Fabricant, who's in the middle with me. Florence is a food and wine writer for the New York Times, I believe since the 1970s, and she interviews celebrity chefs. So the celebrity chef in this instance is Marcus Samuelsson on Florence's right, and then the designer David Rockwell, who designed the restaurant that Marcus Samuelsson has at the Perlman Arts Center.
Yes, Marcus is my new neighbor in Nineveh, so it's so great to see him. And who's this now?
This is Yola. She's
Yola.
a British singer who is starring in Hadestown right now.
Yes.
And she came to us with G.E. Smith, who also has an ongoing series called Portraits.
Okay.
It's almost a talk show with live music where the people speaking are playing instruments while they talk. So they're talking about the history of music,
Oh, I
their
love
personal autobiographies, and other topics.
That's great.
She's outstanding, Yola.
Yes. So now who's this next one we have here? Oh, Billy Porter. I
Billy
recognize Billy.
Yes, so Billy, he's got Emmys and Tonys, and he's just an unbelievable force of nature. He was the inaugural performer for the reopening of our theater.
Oh, I know it was outstanding.
It was outstanding. He had everyone on their feet. He told personal stories about his own struggles in life and triumphs, and he got people crying and dancing
Oh,
and
I know
going
he.
on stage.
Oh my gosh. Okay. What's our next photo?
And that's the chairman of the board, Marty Cohen.
Oh yes, Marty. Now this is Brian Stevenson.
Yes.
And about 2 weeks before you had him at Guildhall, my White House Fellows class, this was our 30th anniversary. We went and sat with him in Alabama and visited the Legacy Museums. So when he came here, we were just like fascinated, but he's outstanding. Tell us about a little more about him.
Absolutely. So he came to us also through an ongoing series called the Thinking Forward Lecture Series.
Okay.
And that is produced by the Bridgehampton Child Care and Recreation Center,
Yes.
Bonnie Cannon.
Yes.
And each year they bring a different person to speak about race.
Okay.
Not specifically to the Hamptons, but throughout the country. So Brian Stevenson, who's the author of Just Mercy.
And the movie too, right?
And the movie, and just an unbelievable advocate for people who are wrongfully incarcerated.
Yes.
or just incarcerated too young. And he is a power force of nature.
Yeah. He actually says he's married to his mission, because you can tell it's just all in him and emanates from him.
He also had people crying. He talked about a young boy who was incarcerated who just wouldn't let go of him, Brian,
Yes,
when he came
yes.
to advocate for him, didn't want to be alone, and was really just a child. He spoke very powerfully about change, that you can't have change without hope.
Mm,
And Billy Porter also had a similar message about love always winning. So there were these themes throughout the summer of, you can't fight hate with hate,
right.
and that hope always wins and love always wins. But
And
yeah.
that's the name of our show, Headliners of Hope.
Oh,
So what
perfect.
brings you hope? You're a headliner here out in East Hampton in our village. What brings you hope?
Art. Art really
Mm.
brings me hope. I mean,
Performing, visual, all art?
all of it. I just feel like it's an expression that is uniquely human, that is often comes from someplace intangible, and I think it's Rick Rubin wrote a book called The Creative Act, and he actually talks about art being a form of divinity. Like,
Wow, yeah,
and so
definitely.
for me, art gives me hope because it's it gives you a way to live life with a little less suffering.
Exactly,
And
and
it
have
also,
some expression and really almost venting whatever pent up things are inside of you. You
yeah,
can express it with
that's
art.
right. No,
Yeah.
it was so fascinating. This season we had the Moth at
Mm-hmm.
Guildhall, and there was a speaker. His name was Federico Ruiz,
Okay.
and he had been in the military, in the U.S. military. He was from D.C.
Yes.
originally. He's Dominican American, and he was deployed on 9/11 to the Pentagon,
Oh my
and
goodness.
he basically did recovery of bodies.
Mm.
Very traumatic experience. Was sent to group therapy afterwards. Would not participate. Just thought it was for weak
Yes.
people. Then he was deployed. He decided he would quit the military, and he went into the police department
Mm-hmm.
in DC, and was quickly elevated to the rank of I guess it's not mob control, but it's when there's like riot control.
Riot control,
So
yes.
it's like the head of riot control, dispatched on January 6th.
Oh my goodness! Wow!
He
Wow! On
was-
January 6th.
Yes, so then he was maced, he was beaten, but his group
Yes.
protected the door, the main entrance,
My
where
goodness.
the president usually comes out, and they linked arms and they protected, I believe, for 3 hours. He
Oh
said they
my-
were poked with American flags and they were hit and
Oh
all this
my
awful
goodness.
stuff. Long story short, he quit the police department.
Yes.
And he finally went to therapy, and now he's a full-time artist.
Oh my goodness.
And he's a pretty good abstract painter.
Wow. All of that was waiting to come out.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
he dealt with having been of tremendous service
Mm-hmm.
to the country, to the police department in DC, got 2 standing ovations at Guildhall while he was speaking.
Oh my
Not at the
goodness.
end, while he was speaking.
Wow.
And he managed to kind of self-soothe and get through his trauma
Mm-hmm.
by making art.
That's amazing. I was on the front lines of 9/11 as a police chaplain for NYPD.
Oh my goodness.
And, even as you speak about it, the trauma starts bubbling up like lava, in a volcano.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad he found a way to express, and that sounds
It's
so
very
beautiful.
It's
Definitely.
such a powerful story, and
Yeah.
he's also found joy in his life.
Yes, yes, that emanates. We have a picture of you and me also at Guildhall
Oh,
together
good.
as well. I think it was with Georgette Greer from
Oh, there we
Eastville. Yeah,
are.
so there we are enjoying the evening. And thank you for opening the doors to so many. Our community has really enjoyed coming to the performance of comedy, the jazz, the
Yes.
speaker series. So we just really appreciate
I
you.
love that picture.
Now, were you a performer as well?
No, I was a studio artist.
Okay.
I made art,
Okay.
and I went to school for studio arts, graduate school as well. And then I was an artist for a couple of years before I started curating, and curating led to working in arts leadership.
I love it. Where were you a curator?
I was a curator at the Parish Art Museum
Oh,
in
beautiful.
Waterville. That's what brought me here.
Okay, okay.
Originally in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And then before that, I was at Carnegie Mellon.
Oh, I
Yeah.
I looked at that for theater when I was in school. I
Oh.
went to Emerson College.
That's right.
Yeah.
Emerson's a great. My friend Andrina. Do you know Andrina Weckintosh?
Oh, yes.
Smith? Yeah,
Mhm.
she went
Yes.
to Emerson as well
Yes.
for theater.
Okay,
Yeah.
I loved it. I mean, it's still part of, and we had our 40th reunion not too long ago. I'm getting getting ready to have my high school 50th. I'm like, woo, when did this happen?
That's incredible.
But both were just, Riverdale Country School and then Emerson College was just amazing. It was the icing on the cake,
I love it.
And before all of what's happening now, how do you think AI is going to affect the arts
Oh, it's so
or
funny you say
impact
that
it?
because I started playing around with an AI image generator
Yeah.
just last night. I
Oh,
couldn't
really?
stop.
Oh,
I couldn't
wow.
stop. I had astronaut picking strawberries in space. I put in any combination that I
Okay.
could think of.
Yes.
And it was seconds. I mean, it's like a fraction of a second and an entire picture is generated.
That's
I think it's
amazing.
a great tool. I know it's problematic in so
Yes.
many ways, but I think like any tool, whether it was, the printing press
Right.
in the time of Gutenberg
You're
or it
right.
was the computer, in the last century, everyone always has trepidation. Oh, how's it going to be used? Or it's
Exactly.
going to make us be less thoughtful. But I think in the right hands, it could be really useful. However, I listen a lot to Yuval Harari. Do you
Yes.
know
Mm-hmm,
him?
mm-hmm,
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
He wrote *Sapiens*, and he says the biggest threats to humanity, at least the last time he talked about it, one was AI, the other was nuclear war, and
Oh,
the third was climate change. But when he was saying AI was a threat, it was before it was in our daily life, and
yes.
now students are writing papers very clearly using AI.
Yes.
I played around with it for Guildhall because
Mm-hmm.
we were trying to come up with a tagline or a like a slogan of sorts,
Sure.
and I put in all of these facts about Guildhall, and it came out with where art and community converge. And I was like, that's beautiful.
Oh,
This is perfect.
wow.
But guess what? I Googled it, and there are probably like 6 other people using
Using
it.
that. Okay.
So AI is a plagiar.
Yes.
It's
They just, okay.
plagiaristic.
Yeah.
So I can instantly tell when because AI is a show off
Yes,
too.
exactly.
AI is
Exactly.
not subtle. It's like you say woman at a sunset and it's like a 6'5" woman with curves, and the biggest sunset you've ever seen. But the thing is that AI with language
Yes.
is also full of hyperbole. You can see it instantly.
Oh, instantly. Do you think it'll take away some of the thinking ability? Because in school, we had to first of all show you how you came to that conclusion of a math formula.
Yeah.
We also had to write and have a beginning, a conclusion, and a middle. Do you think it will take some of that thinking skill away from our students?
I'm very like Pollyanna
Yeah.
about the future. I am worried about many, many things about our future, but technology is not one
Okay.
of them.
Okay.
I think that people will evolve. I mean, if you
Yeah.
look at Gen
Mhm.
Y and Gen Z, they just think different than us,
Exactly.
and that's a good thing.
And they don't have to think about putting their seatbelt on because they grew up with that,
Yeah.
I came through the entire graduate school, and that's when computers really became popular. So doing my graduate thesis, I had to hire someone to just kind of help me formulate it, but now it's nothing. These kids grow up with it. So
Yeah.
it's a whole new world. I always ask my guests, A plus B plus C equals success.
Mm-hmm.
What's your A, B, and C?
Oh, love, honesty, and peak experiences.
Mm.
But I really feel like all anybody wants in the world is love.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
the worst dictators, the most down and out people, they're just every one of us. And the
Yes.
most successful people, they still want love.
They
Sometimes they're
do.
successful because they want love.
Yes, yes, yes,
And then
yes.
honesty is just, for me, that there's no
There's no substitute for
there's
that.
no substitute.
Yeah.
And it's, if someone's not honest, I
Yeah.
can't.
We can't
Yeah.
hang. Yeah.
And then peak experiences, those are those experiences where your heart and your intellect are equally engaged, and you're experiencing something that has your full attention. And that might be an incredible sunset, a beautiful painting, a spectacular piece of music, or jumping off of the high dive.
Exactly.
Thrill seeking, all of that. But those kinds of experiences where you're really alive.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
How long have you been executive director at Guildhall?
I have been there for 8 years. I can't believe it. It went
Wow.
like that, but you have to subtract like 3.5 for COVID.
Yes. Oh, that's true. So what did you do during that period?
During COVID,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we were reinventing everything. So
Okay.
we used that time, first of all, to reinvent the way we do programs. So we had, like everybody else, we immediately were online. We
Mm-hmm.
thought about how the space could be used in different ways. Retail was one of the first
Oh, nice.
businesses that were allowed to open. So Guildhall happened to have the members exhibition where
Yes.
most of the works are for sale. So we found that loophole and we were able to open because we were
Nice.
suddenly retail.
Yes, yes.
Um,
You have to do what you have to do.
yeah,
Creativity.
completely. I
Yeah.
think we got a lot smarter
Mm-hmm.
during the pandemic
Yes.
about how we communicate and also the work home balance.
Mm-hmm.
We were like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we can all work from home and the
Exactly.
place won't shut down. So now we're very humane about the work from home policy because
Yes.
a lot of people commute to Guildhall who work
Okay.
there.
Okay.
So they're allowed to work from home 2 days a week.
Nice.
And
Nice. I've gotten so used to being at home. I don't know if I can go back into
I
society.
know.
I'm like, I have my pool to the right.
Oh, well,
I
that's
set up my
nice.
Zoom, and when the Zoom is over, I take the jacket off and jump in the
Well, you're a
pool.
swimmer.
I'm a swimmer. I swim every day
Do
that I
you do
can.
freestyle or what kind
Yeah,
of?
just free. I do a little freestyle, but I try to do 20 to 25 minutes of swimming, 20 to 25 minutes of walking daily. So when I can't do it in my own pool, I've joined the East Hampton Y
Oh, yeah,
or wherever I am on the road. I always ask if there's a pool,
yeah.
and I do some kind of laps. Just keep it going, keep it
But
flowing.
I have to say, if there was a fourth thing, I would say health.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Because you really cannot have any of the other qualities of life without that, and having a structure and
Yes.
discipline
Mm-hmm.
to exercise like that every day.
It's important.
It's
I
really
remember this picture of Jacqueline Onassis, and she had all the money in the world, and she just said, "I just want to be able to be healthy." They took her to
Mhm.
Central Park, I think, for her last visit. She wanted to be in Central Park, but it was like, what good is all of this if you don't have your health?
That's right.
So we've
Yeah.
got to maintain that, and this is a good area out here for
Yeah,
health services, which has been wonderful for me.
yeah.
What's a highlight of your life? Your life in general, not just at Guildhall, but a highlight for you.
I think being with creative people,
Mm,
that has been a real thrill because they maintain a sense of wonder
yes,
about the world long before most of us are allowed to.
yes,
And
yes,
so that has been fun. There's a playfulness, there's a kind of wit
yes.
and a disruptiveness
Yeah.
that I really enjoy. And
Mhm.
not to be stereotypical, but I love my family.
Yes.
My two daughters are extremely creative, and my husband Carlos is really creative. My daughters are Lola and Gigi, and so
Okay.
my favorite thing with them is what I call couch time,
Yes,
where
yes.
we're all engaged in the same show, and then we also we have a lot of laughs.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. I performed for a little while after college with this group down in Times Square, and we just laughed the whole time. They were all performers on Broadway, and I just learned so much from them. But just having fun being around creative minds because there was always something, popping.
Yes.
I was like, "Do you ever sleep?" No, we don't because we're thinking of something, and it was just fun,
Yeah.
hilarious. And so I try to keep that element of playfulness
Yes.
and creativity around me as well. No
Yeah.
matter because if you get too serious, life is not that serious. Try to find some joy in this thing,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I completely agree. My sister is she's a coach,
Yep.
an executive coach,
Okay.
and she just did a workshop in Arizona. And we talked about, okay, what do you do that's not a traditional icebreaker? And so she had them do improvisation,
Oh, wow.
which is it immediately takes you out of your comfort zone,
Exactly.
and then the rest of the day flows because you've already been ridiculous in
Exactly.
front of each
Exactly.
other.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
let down all the guards, right?
that's right.
What's
Yeah.
a typical day for you?
At Guildhall, or
Yeah.
just a typical day overall?
Well, let's start overall, and then at Guildhall, like, what do you do as executive director on a typical day?
Yeah, okay. So Guildhall, I go into the office. I typically have meetings with my team, and
Okay.
then I'll do a walkabout in the building to, see what's happening in the museum and see if there's a rehearsal going on in the
Okay.
theater.
Okay.
And then we have a lot of people drop by all the time. So either local business owners or artists, and sometimes celebrities come by. So I give private tours to them.
Oh,
And
nice.
I do a lot of speaking. I'm talking all the time at Guildhall. I'm
Yes.
talking about the mission, about the program,
Yes.
and kind of learning about people who are, either artists we're going to present or new patrons or new members. So it's a very, it's a lot like being in politics,
Yeah,
actually.
I was gonna
There's
say.
a lot of faces, a lot of kind of relationships that are part of the success of the institution.
Relationships are really everything though, right? Whether they're giving to your institution or they're visiting,
Yes.
it's all about relationships. So you have some I was there the first time I think really that I remember was when Misty Copeland was there.
Which was part of the Thinking Forward lecture
Okay,
series with
yes,
Bridgehampton
with
Center.
Bridgehampton
Yeah.
Center with Bonnie. So you have some upcoming series
Yeah.
coming. Like who are some of the names we should look out for?
Yeah, well, we have more comedy. We have Dulce Sloan coming, who's a
Yes.
senior correspondent on The Daily Show, and she also just won an Emmy.
Yes, how
Very, very
wonderful.
funny.
I plan to be in the room for
That's
that night.
great.
Yes.
We have the artist David Sedaris, the writer rather, David Sedaris will be coming back to Guildhall. We have Ina Garten
Oh,
coming in
nice.
November.
Yes.
And then we have the Hamptons International Film Festival. I think it's their 35th year. They'll be at Guildhall.
Okay, and that's in 2024, whenever this airs. Yeah, so
Yes,
that's
yes,
in
yes.
2024,
But
yeah.
that happens every year.
Okay, okay.
And then we also have just begun a new relationship with Daddario, which is a musical accessories company based in Farmingdale. I think they're one of the biggest, if not the biggest,
Now, what are musical
in the
accessories?
US. So strings, they make strings.
Okay, I used to play the violin. That's
Yeah.
what they're called,
They're
okay.
primarily known for strings, but they might make other musical accessories. And we're going to
Nice.
be doing concerts with them, starting off with a classical guitar concert with musicians, the top of their
Oh.
fields from all over the world coming to perform.
Oh,
at
how
Guildhall.
amazing is that? So I was in PS 78 in the Bronx in New York. And so if you were in the two class, you know, there used to be numbers, 1, 2,
Oh,
1,
yeah.
1. So if you were in the 2 class, you were the music class.
Oh.
And so I was in the 2 class all the way through 6th grade. So I got to play the violin.
Oh, wow.
And we
Can you
used to
still play?
a little bit. I remember the Star Spangled Banner. I remember
Oh,
that.
You should start the show with that.
Yeah, definitely let's do that. And then I took up the piano. My parents really wanted me to learn the
Yeah.
piano, and I did that for a while. But when you stop, it's really hard to kind of remember anymore,
Yeah.
But music and arts made the difference in my life. The freedom to
Yes.
express myself and the confidence to be on a stage. So now I'm a speaker, which is a speaking art. But it really made the difference in how I stand on that stage and take that stage. You don't give me a mic, it's
Oh.
over. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I can tell. I mean, I've listened to a lot of your interviews online, and I saw you do a single take video moments ago with no prompts, no cue cards, and yeah, you're a great orator.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. What do you do for fun when you're not working?
More art.
Okay,
I hate
okay.
to say I take these busman holidays.
Okay.
I love to go to North Adams, Massachusetts. There's
Yes.
a museum called Mass Mocha.
Okay.
Go there, stay at the Porches Inn across the street. I like to go to the Park Avenue Armory in New York.
Yes.
Go to things at the Shed or other art centers in the city. But what else do I do for fun? Travel.
Do
I
you?
love to travel.
Okay.
Yeah.
In and out of the United States or within?
Yeah, I don't care if it's a road trip that's 2 hours.
You said I'm
I'll
on
go
it.
anywhere. I grew up in a family that was very spontaneous.
Yes.
And we did a lot of road trips. And
That's nice.
and so
And where did you grow up?
I grew up in Freeport, New
Oh,
York. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay, yes.
And we had an RV and we would go cross country. And
Okay.
so when I lived in Texas, I used to drive home to New York
Oh my
and stay with
goodness.
friends all along the way, artists.
Yes,
Which
yes.
is really a fun thing to do because otherwise you don't see people.
Exactly, exactly. Those were the great days too,
yeah.
and safe days,
Yeah.
Yeah, I always wanted an RV. We got a station wagon and then we got a Cadillac. So, but we traveled quite a bit. In our childhood, we would go to the South where our parents were from.
Mhm.
So it was very important for culture. Our parents wanted us to know the North, but also be rooted with our Southern relatives.
Yeah.
And so every summer, all the first cousins would stay with our grandmother, and it was just the best of time. And there was lots of arts, lots of
Yeah.
arts,
And was that you said your son's in Atlanta?
I have a son now in Atlanta, but
Okay.
he's a medical doctor. He's doing his residency there at
great.
Morehouse.
So where was your family from in the South?
North Carolina and Virginia. My mother was from the Charlotte area,
Yes.
a little town called Concord,
Oh, great.
and there was a college there, Barbara Scotia College, and my aunt worked there, so we actually were on the campus most of our days. And we would be with the performing arts, students, theater, and just they would say, "Come on in here, come on, you can do this." So has anyone pulled you into a show that's been at Guildhall, like said, "Come on and do something with us"?
No, thank God. Nobody has wanted me. I'm not a good actor at all.
But you're a good moderator. I've seen you moderate.
I'm a good speaker.
Yes.
And I'm really proud of everything that we've accomplished at Guildhall, but I would never, ever.
Just dive in and jump in.
No way.
Okay.
I was one of, 2 people cut from plays, from auditions for plays.
Oh,
at school.
okay. All right.
But I really do want to do stand-up comedy. And
So do I. So you know what? We have to do something together. So when
Oh my
in
gosh.
9/11, when I was doing all of that frontline stuff, what I would do is take comedy classes to balance it because we were looking at trauma and death every day.
Yeah.
And so I did a stand-up at Caroline's.
You did not.
I did 4 minutes at Caroline's.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
How'd it go?
It was okay.
Did you write your material?
I wrote my material, and I remember some of it.
What was it on?
So it was about relatives
Oh.
and the craziness of my relatives who I spent summers in the South with.
Yeah.
But I just remember pieces of it. And then I did a little piece on aging also because I was going into 50 at that point,
Yeah.
and just how the body changed, and
Mhm.
particularly for women. But I didn't get booed off. So yeah. But at some
That's
point we have to
very
do
brave,
something.
And especially at Caroline's,
Oh
like
my
that's not,
gosh. Yes.
that's not an amateur comedy club.
I stacked it with my family. But yeah, but so we have some common interests there. We have to pursue
I
that.
think comedy is one of the greatest
I
art
love to
forms.
laugh. I love to laugh. In fact, I'm going to introduce you to a couple of comedians for next
Okay,
year.
good. Please do.
That we've seen, that we brought to Sag Harbor to Azurest this summer,
Oh, good.
who are amazing. So we
That's
have
great.
work to do together.
We do
But we're
have
out of time now. But thank you for
No,
joining.
okay.
And thank you for joining us, Andrea Grover from Guildhall, the executive director, and I'm Dr. Sujay, live in living color. And I want to thank LTV, the production team, and all of you who made this possible. It's been a blast being with you. Stay tuned for all of our shows, Headliners of Hope and Celebrating Black Women Leaders. Stay tuned.